occupational safety and health costs money. But in the end, it makes your employees, your workers healthy. It makes them, stay longer in the job. We're experiencing that this is a whole new era. That is definitely something that happens here quite faster. People are more open to adapt to new things. I think it's a pretty interesting market here in Asia.
But what do you think is the missing piece, though? I have to just ask you this from your lens. Hi everyone, welcome to the OSH Insights podcast, tailored to the safety professionals in Asia. We're putting this podcast together to highlight the trends and challenge the status quo for a better and safer workforce. We sought out a familiar face in the global safety community. So in this episode of OSH Insights, we spoke with the incoming managing director of Messe Düsseldorf Asia, Mr. Lars Wismer. For many in the global safety community, his name is definitely a familiar one. He previously led A+A in Düsseldorf, one of the world's most influential platforms for workplace safety and health. Now, before we get to our chat with Lars, I've got a short message for you. Now, the region's leading exhibition for all aspects of safety, security, and health at work, Occupational Safety and Health Asia 2026 is going to be held from 9th to 11th September 2026 at Hall C, Marina Bay Sands Expo. Visitor registration opens in April 2026, so in the meantime, head over to osha-singapore.com and subscribe to the e-newsletter for the latest updates and exhibition highlights. And now, onto the podcast. So Lars, welcome to Singapore and welcome to the very first episode of the OSH Insights podcast.
Edric, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to be in Singapore finally.
Maybe we can start a little bit more with your journey here. You started off, of course, leading the A+A communities and, of course, all the events over there. Not your first time in Asia, is it?
Oh, no, it's definitely not. I mean, we've done a lot of shows here. I spent a lot of time in Asia, and especially also in Singapore. I spent a lot of time, but that was quite a while ago.
Let me pick your brain first. You're very, very big in the safety community. And I want to understand, right, when you're taking over the role of the managing director in April, give me a little bit of a hint of what your plans are for MDA and OS+H Asia.
Well, definitely, we will want to continue the good work. Growth, obviously, is an aim we have. But, to be honest, for me, it is about growing the platform of OSH Asia. We have a very good show with OSH, the 15th edition coming up September. So we want to basically use this as a base to continue to develop the show, create new topics, new insights. And I think we have a really good platform developed already, and we're going to grow it from there.
Okay, great. Now, what I want to pick your brain on is because you come from, of course, a European background. And in Asia, it's just different. The way that we apply, the way that we adapt, what we take as applicable. What do you think from your background in the safety industry, right? How do you think that's going to shape your approach here in Southeast Asia?
Well, definitely the market is different. I think in Asia and Southeast Asia in particular, you are faster to adopt to new regulations, new products than we are probably in Europe. In Europe, safety is a big thing, and we are quite on a high level. But we are really struggling to adapt to new regulations, new products, new things. And I think, for various reasons. And I think I've seen that in the past, that is definitely something that happens here quite faster. People are more open to adapt to new things. So I think it's a pretty interesting market here in Asia.
But what do you think is the missing piece, though? I have to just ask you this from your lens.
The missing piece, I think it's probably not as common, everything related to occupational safety and health. You have certain countries which have very strict regulations already, but I think there still is a lot of groundwork to do in many, many countries in Asia. So I think there's a lot of potential to develop. And, especially in terms of technical adaptation like AI, smart PPE, for example. I think here in Asia, the adaptation rate is a lot higher than back in Europe. Of course, what we do very, very good with A+A, for example, is everything related to knowledge transfer, exchange, use the exhibition as a platform to exchange new ideas, innovations, and best practice cases, I think.
Okay, and from A+A, everybody gets that information from there. Do you plan to bring that community and community of practice over to OSH Asia?
Yes, definitely. I think this is a very important part of any occupational safety and health show. Obviously, it is about innovation, about new products, about the latest developments in the industry. But a very big part of it is actually the exchange of information, knowledge transfer. I think, everybody who visits shows like OSHA should bring something home. I mean, not only like a new contract or an order or new product, but kind of a mindset, of, to understand that occupational safety and health is a very important topic. And some companies see that as, kind of a hustle. Occupational safety and health costs money. Yes, it does. But in the end, it makes your employees, your workers healthy. It makes them, stay longer in the job, do not miss as many days because they're sick. So I think there's a lot of benefit and advantages. And I think we want to, have that mindset transferred to our visitors so that they take that home, probably also in their private home, but also definitely in their companies to, be open to adapt to new ideas.
Well, how do you think that you would bring this on board for OSH Asia, though? For me, it's always about how do we take some of this information, adapt it, and how do we then also apply it as quickly as possible? For a show perspective or a conference or an exhibition perspective, how do you then, create that experience whereby, you have that wow factor? What do you think we can see from this year's event?
Well, I think, especially the conference part is a very important one. As we said before, the exchange of information, the exchange of new ideas, getting inspired by new products, by innovations. I think this is a very, very important part. But also, as you just mentioned, the hands-on part. I always thought like the occupational safety and health shows are very hands-on. Products are, most of them at least, easy to understand, easy to use and try out. And I think it's kind of an immersive thing and a very emotional thing also. And I think this is what we have to focus on. We have to create emotion. We have to make things easy to try.
Could you emphasize a little bit more on how important it is for safety leaders to actually get their hands on with all this equipment and technologies?
I think, especially for the decision makers, and we are very happy that we have a lot of them coming to our shows. For them, it is important to, have that barrier that is in their mind removed by just trying things. And seeing that things are not complicated. I mean, my personal favorite is, again, the exoskeleton. Because we've seen, if you see that for the first time, everybody's like, wow, it's very complicated, it's very expensive, and can I adjust that individually to each worker? And yes, you can, it is really easy to try on. There's not a lot of maintenance. They do not cost a lot, and it has a great impact. And, you can have a ton of presentations and flyers and brochures on this, but actually if you wear one, just get into it, wear one, and try different things like lifting, working overhead, like a little parkour you can try. And that really changes the mind of people doing this because they see it's easy to use, it has a great impact, and that may actually be something we could use back, at our company. So I think, being on site, trying things out, that's very important. And that's what what makes trade shows so important because it's about bringing people together, showing innovations and if possible, trying them out. Yeah. And I think the whole industry changed a lot in the last couple of years. Especially if we're talking about protective gear, protective wear. This has also become a fashion statement. It is not only about safety anymore, it's also about looking good while wearing, personal protective equipment. And I think these are all things we want to cater to with the OSH show. So, it's more about trying things out, hands-on experience, and just have that emotional connection to what we're doing.
So should I be looking forward to sexy-looking hazmat suits? How does that work?
Well, if we're talking about safety shoes, for example, we've seen a real trend in developing from basically all the shoes looking more or less the same, just like chunky security boots, till very fashionable sneakers now. You can choose colors, you can have them individually styled for the needs of your company so that you got a corporate identity, and this is very, very important because a lot of employees and workers are hesitant to wear safety wear because usually it is, you have to change, once you reach your workplace, maybe you have to, maybe it's not that comfy or does not fit your style, but if it looks good, and we see a trend in Europe where people actually wear safety gear, off hours, because it's still fashionable and looks good, and I think that makes the acceptance a lot higher. So and PPE only works if people actually wear that.
Yeah, this is very interesting because I love these insights from the ground. What else have you heard that you're like thinking what the community really wants to see, and then you can apply into the show?
I think we see a lot of development in, from just conservative workwear like PPE, like gloves and shoes and helmets, to smart PPE. I think that's an interesting development. So that, for example, your health vitality data is also monitored. I saw recently a very, very nice presentation from somebody from Singapore, actually, who had monitored workers on construction sites. And the idea behind it was to, with AI, they can actually see if, somebody is dehydrated because of their movements, the movements change, and they can actually predict that this person may actually faint, for example, from heat, I don't know, in the next half hour or something. So I think this is technology that is very, very interesting, and people are very interested in seeing things like this. We have the future frontier area at OSH, where exoskeletons, for example, are showcased. For me, when I joined the industry, that was kind of like something out of a sci-fi movie. And I had the pleasure to actually wear those exoskeletons and try them out. And it is an amazing experience. It feels kind of strange at first, but if you do a lot of overhead work, for example, or lifting stuff, instantly you feel how your skeleton is going to be relieved from a lot of pressure. And I think this is far away from being sci-fi. It is actually used in the industry at the moment. I think these are the things people want to see, and they want to see that these things are actually affordable and help a lot.
What insights do you see that's really different, though, in terms of the trends of what perhaps A+A has seen? And what do you think that in terms of Asia, what they might be looking for? Is there a difference, or you think we're on the same path?
I think we're almost on the same path. I mean, in Europe, we, as I said in the beginning, the standards are already pretty high. So we're basically, looking at another level. So it's not only like protective wear, for example, but we are looking a lot of on topics like ergonomics, for example. Office chairs, tables, adjustable in height to make the office worker more healthy. And we they have a saying in Europe which is like, sitting is the new smoking, because sitting is not healthy if you sit all day. So we're experiencing that this is a whole new era that opens up, and people are very interested in it. I think not everywhere, but in some of the countries in Asia, we still have to do some groundwork, some grassroots work. To convince everybody that construction workers have to wear protective shoes and do not go on the construction site in flip-flops.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, even in the wellness communities, right? Outside of safety, they always say, right, emotion is lotion. Yeah. So movement is very important. Now, I also wanted to pick your brain in terms of going across the region. We're seeing different industries prioritize safety in their own ways. What key trends or priorities are really emerging from Asia's safety community? Maybe you want to point a couple out and see if these are things that are really going to change the way that safety leaders will see things.
Yeah, we see a lot of different trends. I mean, we have quite a lot of OSH-related shows. We have GOSH in Japan with the first edition happened this year. We have the COSH in Shanghai and in Bangkok. OSHA, of course, in Singapore, TOSH in Turkey. And we see a lot of different trends, for all of these shows. I mean, basically, PPE is always a core of every show, but you see different topics. For example, OSHA in Singapore is more technically, more like equipment, AI, digital solutions. That's very strong on that. In Turkey, we see, for example, a very strong focus on disaster prevention or disaster reaction. Like after earthquakes or things like this, natural disasters, because obviously it is a topic that really relates to them. So there are different, let's say, focuses on different shows. I would say PPE is one that covers it all, but it really then depends on what the actual status of each country is, what they need, what kind of main focus industries they have. We're just gonna have a new show in Dubai next year. And of course, this is something then where there's a focus on, the petrochemical things, because, heat protection. So it really depends on where you go, what the industry focus is, and what the general status of occupational safety and health of the protection in each country is. But we're trying to adapt to and make every show special and cater to the needs of the region.
All right. So just bringing that lens back to Asia, right? What do you think are the rising trends right now in terms of maybe new technologies that are getting a little bit more investment, or at least company investment?
Well, I think AI definitely. I mean, everybody's talking about AI. This doesn't come as a surprise, probably, but I think the systems are getting more specialized to certain industries. If we're talking about monitoring health status, which is especially interesting for people who work alone in very difficult environments. For example, if you have to clean chemical tanks, for example, it's just one person that can get in there, and it helps, monitoring the health and safety of that person. So these are new developments, because every piece of equipment you wear now can be smart and can monitor, your breathing, your heart rate, your temperature. And I think this is a new development we see all over the place. It's getting more and more important for specialized employees, specialized working conditions. And another thing that has become really, really important is sustainability. We see more and more products in the PPE area that are from recycled materials. We saw from at A+A for the first time a real cradle to cradle cycle. There was a company that would recycle work pants 100% into new work pants. Wow. And I think this is also a very interesting trend, especially in Europe, where you have to, your carbon footprint becomes more and more important. Companies have to report on what the carbon footprint is. So these are topics that get more and more important. And it's not only about the companies to have to report to, but users, the actual people wearing it are getting more conscious about the environment. So this is something we see basically through every product you will find at an occupational safety.
Wow, we can safely say we're in a new era.
Oh, absolutely.
Of OS+H professionals, how they think, how they're acting, the technologies, as well as the services that are out there. You've got your finger on the pulse of this industry. I'd like to ask you what leaders can do to keep up to date with all these trends, and what do you think they should be taking away from a little bit more?
Well, what they should do is definitely come see one of our shows. No, seriously, because if you are responsible for safety, security at your company, or even if you are the CEO of that company, you have certain insights on how to protect workers from the basic things happening in your company. But visiting one of our shows or visiting OSHA in particular, it kind of opens up your mind. You get a new mindset, because you see a lot of things you would probably haven't thought about that you can implement into your company. Most of the things are really easy to implement, do not cost a lot of money, but have a great impact on how people feel, how people identify with the company. And then actually, you have a better, happier, healthier workforce. This is very important. And I think we are building platforms. Another very important thing, because it is about the exchange. Meet somebody on your level from a different company, learn what they are doing to protect their employees, how they implement new products and new technologies, and just to learn from each other, because the common goal is make everybody safer, healthier, and more efficient at the workplace.
Okay. And from your perspective, right now, this one goes out to the exhibitors. I think when we talk about pulling people in to get hands-on and all that, do you think that there's a secret recipe to making sure that people get engaged and involved? How do you attract that attention and get them in?
Well, I think, the most important part is communication, as for so many experts in life. We need our visitors also to be very active in the community, to showcase their products, to see, if you want to try that out, visit us at OSH. Communicate to their customers or existing customers or maybe potential customers also, get them to join the show, make sure they know what they have to expect at OSH, what the innovations are, and maybe that they offer tailored needs, individual tailored to each company and to the need they have. So I think communication is key. Use social media to attract visitors. Of course, it is a very important part for us too. This is what we are doing. We're trying to get exhibitors and visitors together. This is our main focus. But I think communication is key. Just get out there, spread the word, let everybody know what we're doing, and then you'll attract a lot of high potential visitors.
All right, Lars, I mean, this was a really, really good conversation that we've had, understanding a little bit more, not just about A+A, but more importantly, what you're bringing to OSH in September. Now, I like what you mentioned earlier on, you're looking for visitors, you're looking for buyers, you're looking for investors, and the whole community to be there. So this is your chance to reach out to them. Let them know how you can or how they can get in touch with you and where they should go.
Well, thank you very much. If you're responsible for occupational safety and health and are working in the industry, there's just no way around OSH here in Singapore. So yeah, you should definitely visit. You should definitely follow us closely with our communication. Visit osha/singapore.com, for more information. The visitor registration opens in April, but still it is, very important to be up to date. So visit us on all our channels. And if you want insights, meet professionals, get the latest trends and innovations, please come and visit Singapore, OSH, September 9th to 11th.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the OSH Insights podcast. Earlier, you heard from Lars about what he's seen in the industry, the future of it, and of course, what you can expect from OSH Asia 2026, of course, happening in September this year. So register now with the link below or above, wherever that you're watching this or listening to this. Now give us your thoughts in the comments, refer a safety or industry expert to be on the pod, and don't forget to subscribe for the most insights on occupational safety and health. We'll see you at the next episode.